Welcome to today's session, Mastering Video Strategy, with me, Carl Wadmark at Quickchannel, and you, Viktor Underwood. Welcome.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me on the show.
Thank you as well. We're super excited to be here today. This is our first session with this bi-weekly series that we have started here. And the purpose with this series is to educate the market on video, could be high and low, to basically level up your video skills. And in this first session, we are talking about webinars, because webinars are back. I don't think webinar is a dead format or a type of video communication strategy. It's definitely back, and we are here today to guide you on how to run engaging and truly interactive type of webinars. And with me, I have a pro when it comes to this. Viktor, you've almost been, I think it's 10 years this year, you've been in the video communications industry.
Yeah, it is. I think it was like the 7th, so we're days away from the anniversary, if I remember correct. But yeah, I've been most of my grown-up life working with video communication. Started my career working with web TV and streaming for public sector back then, many years ago. And then in the last 10 years in these settings, and so much has happened. Webinar wasn't even a word 10 years ago. It was like seminars, but they are online, kind of how they were presented. But it's one of the most interactive and the most engaging type of video events that you can run. And it's such a good way to also connect with your audiences. And that is what we're gonna try to do here today with you, of course, but also go behind the scenes. Okay, why is it important? How does it work? But also, yeah, show us how it works in practice.
Yeah. Like we said, we're super excited. It's going to be an interactive demo Q&A-ish kind of format. So we sort of lay down the foundation, why we're doing this today, and then we will transition into Viktor actually demoing our enterprise webinar software, hands-on. We encourage you to participate in the chat and ask questions. We're going to handle all the questions at the very end for like a 5-minute period. But you're more than welcome to participate in the chat. Please type where you're watching from. And also, if you have any questions, make sure you type them in so we can answer them at the end of the session. But without further ado, I hand over to you, Viktor. So again, how and why interactivity and webinars?
Yeah, so I mean, webinars has a long history. It came from, of course, seminars being one of the best ways on how to educate an audience, where you have an expert on a topic that shares their knowledge, and maybe you have a panel discussion on stage. And this got, of course, accelerated into a digital format very fast during the pandemic. That was the only way to deliver them. So everything that was seminar and physical seminars turned into seminars delivered over video, called webinars. And one thing with webinars in the beginning was that they were quite passive. It was one-way streaming out to the audience, and you were like, yes, I launched my information into the cyberspace. But today, webinars is a fully interactive session. You must be able to connect with your audience. The audience, you guys probably have a lot of questions for us today. You should ask them to us. We should bring that up in the session live, go through those. We want to know more about you guys sitting in the audience. So when you are using this format as a means of communication, you also want to learn from the audience. So you can run polls and maybe get insights like how many of you out there are doing webinars today? What's your biggest challenges, or what's the biggest opportunities, and so on. And then what's been happening in the, I would say, the last maybe 6 to 12 months is to kind of brush out the border between viewer and participant, viewer and presenter, and so on.
So it's more two-way, basically.
It's starting to become much more two-way. So if you're in the audience, you might not only want to ask your question in the chat, you might want to be standing here on stage digitally and talking to us, and those kind of things. But interactivity is key. When using interactive functionality like chats and polls and call to actions and so on, you make the viewer feel more engaged, and when they feel more engaged, they have a longer engagement rate, a better engagement rate, meaning that they will stay longer during your topics. So if you ensure that you have a good topic that matches what your audience is expecting, that's number one. But then you have to work with these interactive things around. Otherwise, there is a high chance in the busy world that we live in that they will get caught their attention into a notification from a Slack message or an email.
And they're bouncing.
And you think you have them with you, but you don't. But by working with the interactivity, you ensure you keep the audience with you. And I mean, Kalle, from your point of view, you're leading marketing here. Where does webinar live in the context of your marketing plan, and why are we doing webinars?
Yeah, well, because my boss told me to. No, I'm joking, but I 100% believe in what you're saying. We need to practice how we preach, because we have this wonderful and awesome platform. But I also think it's one of the most effective ways to deliver a message today via video. The other aspect that's becoming more and more important is that we can chop up the video. Videos are long form content, usually 30, 45, 60 minutes and beyond. If I can then repurpose the full length of a session like this into smaller clips, I can then have a content fuel for a longer period of time to also create engagement via social media, newsletter, website, embed the video across the ether, what have you. So I find it as a very effective means of part of our content strategy. And another thing is that it's quite easy to also track. So we can track the success. So you're probably wondering, okay, so what's the benchmark, or what's the success of a webinar? How do we define that? Well, it's kind of easy. We can go to the registrants, we can go to the number of people who viewed, we can measure over time if we get more and more people attending our webinars. We can see if the engagement is increasing. Like you said, are people more engaging with the chat? Are people more engaging with the call to actions that we're launching, our polls, etc.? Do people basically find it interesting to come back to our different sessions? So to me, I think I was sold before I started at Quickchannel, and now naturally it's part of our DNA, I'd say, when it comes to our marketing strategy.
Yeah. So the webinar doesn't only live live anymore. The webinar is kind of a content that lives over time.
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah, that's super interesting. And so when we're looking at the webinars that we run, when you're repurposing them, why do we repurpose them?
For one, it's to make it more accessible and increase the reach. Not everybody can attend live, that we have all the folks attending live today. So naturally, we want to give away that content sort of for free. In our case, that's our strategy, because I believe in maximizing the reach. But in some cases, of course, with sensitive data or content, you can put a password or protect that sort of content for availability. But yeah, the other aspect I'd say is usually it takes a lot of time to plan an event like this and then actually hosting it. So you kind of want to, you don't want it to be in vain, just the live aspect. But the other aspect is that now with something that's increasingly is this repurpose mechanism, especially with AI, that I'm super fascinated about. How can I use AI to repurpose my content and get more out of this type of session, basically, in the future?
Because I guess our webinars sometimes turn out as a blog post in a written format, sometimes as a podcast in an audio format, or a clip on social media.
Exactly. So, but it starts with actually hosting or creating something, right? The foundation. So I see webinars or videos as the foundation. And then it can trickle down into, like you're saying, blog posts, social media posts, podcast, what have you. It's today you have so much more possibilities than compared to before. And now with AI, the efficiency of that has even been enhanced. Yeah.
And coming back to interactivity, it's wonderful to see that we've got viewers calling in from all over the Nordics and Scandinavia, Stockholm, Oslo, Helsinki, Copenhagen represented. And again, want to encourage you to take part and influence what we're talking about today. So use the Q&A and ask your questions there, and we will circle back to them. But maybe, we're just already getting questions in. But should we jump in and start having a look at how it actually looks behind the scenes?
Let's do it.
Doing things like this. And I'm apologize for with clearing my voice a little bit. So
you have the word, but still you're.
Exactly. So let's see. So I'm sharing my screen here now. And there you can see my screen. We will put it in a picture-in-picture and put it in big.
So now you're actually sharing.
So now I'm actually in the Quickchannel platform.
Okay.
And I'm going to take you through a little bit on how you can set up your webinar for success and how we can drive maximum interactivity from an event. And to have a fully interactive event, you can of course use the chat and polls. I think that's key. But for you to understand what the impact we talk about ROI a lot, or like what's the actual results coming out from our video communication. And I think that's important for all of you who are running video communication today. How can you prove that the events are actually valuable? And if you can know who has watched your event, for how long they have watched, how they did interact, your audience, then you should work with some type of registration. Now I'm logged into my account here on the Quickchannel platform, and when you are setting up your event, you can do it with different type of registrations. So in registrations, you can have your Quickchannel registration, which means that you can set up exactly what type of fields you want to grasp from your registrants. And when you have done and set up a registration page, you can actually go in and create it and design it so it looks something like this. Mm-hmm. So I can choose here. Here I've added a language part, allergies, if it's maybe a hybrid event, and then the contact details and so on. And you can put links and pictures, and they create these nice speaker spots on the registration page. The good thing with this is that you can run the whole webinar experience from sign up to live to on demand in one workflow. But there is also possibilities if you're working with some external registration tool that's integrated. We also have some customers working with, for example, HubSpot or Marketo, which is CRMs and marketing automation systems they can integrate. Then you can run the registration in those systems, and it will talk with the Quickchannel platform. And then this summer, we've done an internal release. So this is a little bit sneak peek of the future for you guys here today. We have instant registration as well, which means that you can have registration on a video, live or on demand, where the viewer only has to write in their email address and the contact details of your choice, and they get straight to the video. They don't have to get an email or anything like that. It's a good use case for running, for example, financial reports. But that's just super quick on registrations because it's a key. If you're working with the Quickchannel registration, you have the full email engine here where you can see what email, what content and copy and design that goes out to a registrant. You can set up reminders and follow-up emails after an event. Another part of driving interactivity and creating a successful webinar today is that it really speaks your brand. If you're a government agency, you want to build trust. If you're a private corporate running webinars, you want your brand to really go through and through from beginning to end. And that you can set up in this type of interface with everything from your custom fonts, background colors, logo types. You can decide how the chat is going to look like, what colors, transparent background or not, to how the player is going to look. On this little demo account of mine, I want a really orange play bar, for example, then that's possible. But that could be your brand colors on the player, which works both on the kind of webinar direct link, but also embedded on your website or intranet. And then you can even decide what background color it should be behind the different sources if you want a picture or similar. So you got plenty of capabilities on decide how the kind of viewer experience should speak your brand. And when it does that, it also gives a more high quality experience. If I go back here, I have made a, a demo booking here. And what you're looking at right now is how you actually manage an interactive webinar. So this is the interface where we have tried to take what you normally need, a full studio setup with video mixers and other things, and built it into this browser interface. And here I can add a camera source, I can add a presentation, I can also add here a studio source from a professional studio equipment and an encoder, and take that stream straight in here. It's possible for me to invite guest presenters, so I can invite Carl here, for example. And I can also work with some pre-recorded videos on my account and publish it. I don't know if you thought about it, but when you started to watch this event here today, we had a countdown. It counted down from 30 seconds with a Quickchannel wave. That's actually was a video on demand file that we launched before we pressed and chose to show our camera. On the right hand side here, you have the chat. Here we have the possibility of opening up several chat rooms, and that's exactly what we've done here today. So when you look at the right side of the video, you can see that you have one chat room for the general discussion where there's plenty of interaction going on, and then we have put a Q&A room where you can ask your questions. And we can choose to have the Q&A room moderated and open chat open, for example. So this gives kind of a good way of driving interactivity with the audience while still keeping structure in your webinar, because you have a running schedule and a certain way how you want to take the questions. Speaking about interactivity, you also have the possibility of having chat moderators not being here on site. So I could take this chat moderator link and send it to my expert in the team, my expert on interactivity sitting in Finland, for example, and answering the questions. And I can also print and have a QR code for the chat and poll thing for the physical attendees. So when we do our kind of webinar formats for all hands internally, we have half the team in the room, half the team online. Half the team in the room, of course, want to interact, answer the polls, ask the questions, so they log on that way. Polls is, I mean, we've got some polls running. Have we run one today, Kalle?
No, let's run the first one.
Let's run a poll.
I publish it now in the chat. So in order to participate, you need to join the chat first. And the first poll of business today, we have: what type of webinars do you find most engaging as an attendee?
So this poll you will get up on over the chat, as you can see, and you can choose to respond in there. So this is the kind of interface where Kalle is running it right now. Call to actions, we can show a little bit also how that looks live in a second. But that's something that if you've seen me on some previous events, I'm standing like jumping out of excitement, because that's how we can start showing really measurable outcomes from the webinars. In this case, we maybe want, if you are curious on us, to come and book a demo with us so you can see the platform even more in detail. Then we can launch a book a demo call to action. If I want you to see our latest report on video communication, I can launch a click here and download the report and send you to a PDF document that's online. Or if I want you to sign up for our next in this webinar series or video summit that's coming later in the year, click here and you get to our event page. So you get me, you can kind of use call to action to guide the viewer live directly where you want them, not just speaking to them and hoping that they will act.
Yeah. And we put a pin in that because Christopher's question is related to this. But let's answer that during the Q&A at the very end.
Yeah.
Please move forward.
And then in the interface, you also have the registration tab. And there you can see, if depending on which registration setup you're using, but if you use the normal Quickchannel registration, you can see who has registered and which of the registrants have clicked the link and started to view the event. So you get a good understanding whilst running, like, okay, this is how it looks. And you can also see how many is watching it right now. So you can get a good understanding of that. And of course, after the event, all of this data is accessible to you as as the host, you who are the Quickchannel user. And here now I can see that I got a knock here on guest presenter. So I've invited Carl before, and now I can see that Kalle is standing there. So can you wave at us? Hello, Kalle. So I can say, Kalle, welcome up on stage here. And then I can say, Viktor, welcome up on stage here as well. And now we can have a side-by-side chat here where we are having a discussion together.
This is in real time?
This is in real time,
okay.
in a demo account. But actually, we're doing something in real time.
We are?
Yeah, we're running this webinar, right?
Right, we're running this webinar.
Yeah.
Right. I forgot. That's why we're standing here.
That's why we're standing here. So I will actually take you through behind the scenes on the actual event.
Let's go.
So I'll jump here, and here you can now see where we are in the event. So here on the right-hand side, you can see the chat. So here I've got all the chat messages going. I can go in.
You see the poll results also.
You can see the poll results that Kalle has published back to you guys to drive interactivity. And how do you do that? Well, that you actually do from the poll section here. So I can go in and say, oh, okay, Kalle has run this poll and he's used that and pressed send to chat. That's how the poll results has gone back to you, the viewers in the chat. And the call to actions that been prepared here on the right-hand side can also be launched to the viewers. And then down here on registration, I can see that we had about roughly 40 registrants, and 32 of them have clicked the viewing link, and we can see that we have 26 watching right now. And I think we've looked at some data on this before, but like having 50% that from sign up that actually shows up is like okay to good. 60% is good to great, and like 70% and above is like super. I think our world record is close to 80.
Yeah.
But that's kind of happened once.
Yeah.
So that's the bench. Like 50, if you have 50% attendance, that's all right. Because many people sign up because they know that they can watch it on demand. Yeah. They don't always have time with these busy schedules out there. And now I dare to talk about the watching numbers because we're on the good end of the percentage today.
Yes.
And then down here, we have the different sources as before. And we can have the guest presenters. And here we have the different videos, the intro videos and outro videos that we can launch. So this is how you actually, behind the scenes, run an interactive event.
Right.
So do you want to bring up...
Can you talk a little bit more about the layouts? Because I think...
of course.
One thing that people... I've heard these questions from customers, potential customers, is that they would like the flexibility of shifting in between layouts.
Yes.
To create that dynamic like TV experience.
Yeah.
Can you talk about like how that works?
Bang on. So, I mean, here we can, on the right or on the left-hand side, we have the layout selector. And this has been built in a way that you can either have like an equal, so it's kind of a side-by-side, and then this black background that you see behind, that can be changed also to another color or a picture if you like. Then we have the called prioritized. It's kind of a presentation mode, or it's even good for panel discussions. So if I would have you as a guest up here, we could have up to 3 small speakers and then 1 topic of conversation that we're talking around. And then sometimes if we have the equal one and say, okay, yeah, but I want the video of me to be on the left-hand side. Well, then it's made in a good way that you can actually choose where you want the different sources to be on the layout. So I can say, okay, I want to have that on the left-hand side, and then it works that way. Mm-hmm. You can even do that when you choose a source to publish, how you want it, like where do you want to place it when you launch it from the beginning. And then we, of course, have the picture-in-picture, which you guys are familiar with from before. And as you can see now, it's very hard for you to see my screen sharing. I might want to have the screen sharing in number 1. I take that into number 1, and they swap sides. So that's how we...
very easy, just click.
Yeah, I mean, like historically, you needed to have a video mixer and a video producer If you wanted to have guest presenters, I mean, you who are video producers out there, you're probably smiling right now. You need to have a separate computer where you run a Teams or a Zoom call, and then you mix it into your video mixer, and then you mix it out into the session. This we enable now with a setting like this. But for you who are video producers, you can do so much more. You can do even more graphics and overlays and even more different layouts, and you should continue to do so. And when you do that, you just use the studio signal into Live Studio and more managed interactive elements around the video. So it works for even like the non-professional producer running interactive, high-quality webinars, but the full producer also gains benefit because you can launch polls, call to actions, and work with registration, which enables you to show real, measurable results to the decision makers or the ones that have ordered the event.
We got a question from Marcus here, but we'll take that here in a minute with in the Q&A.
Yeah.
But is there anything you missed that you want to showcase?
I think we should maybe launch a call to action if we haven't done it to the audience so that they can see how that works.
Yeah. Do you want to do that? Should I do it?
Yeah, I can even do one here. So I can say, book a meeting, take your video strategy to the next level, book a demo, book a demo. And when you're creating a call to action, this can of course be prepared well in advance. You also get a preview of how they look down here. So they will follow your brand colors on the buttons and so on. And here I can decide how long I want it to be. So I say 30 seconds. And I save it. And then I can launch this via the publish button. And now you will see this being pushed in over the video as a viewer. And you can click on that button and get to the book a demo page on our website and sign up to book a demo, for example. But in the call to action, you can also do more. You have download button, which is perfect to like download the report and then have a link to your report if it's a financial report or another finding. And then you can also use the information banner, which is like, don't forget to join the chat. It's interactive. And I can launch that one.
But you can't have multiple at once.
No, exactly. You have one at a time. So one at a time. So
and now you also get the real-time analytics.
Yeah, so I can see that, wow, 3 of you have actually clicked the call to action. And then I can look in the data after the event, which of you actually clicked the button. So I can draw much more insights from this webinar and all the interactions that have been going on and create valuable output for my organization.
Cool. Due to time, we have 2 minutes left, but I think we're gonna go over a little bit. So we'll start with the first question that we got, which was from Christopher. What's the most effective type of CTA you've seen in webinars? Links, surveys, or direct meeting bookings?
Second, what's the most
effective type of CTA you've seen in webinars? Links, surveys, or direct meeting bookings?
I think it depends on the purpose of the webinar, to be honest. I really like the idea of in the end of the webinar that you put a link to a survey. How did you find this webinar? Was this good? What can be improved and so on? That's a really good use case that we're seeing being used quite a bit. But then of course the kind of contact us, sign up for the next one, get in touch to get a personal walkthrough, book a demo, this type. I think that one is the most popular, and then the survey part's second one. But then I think it's everyone comes to mind. Oh, let's have it to book a demo and create leads, and yes, that's probably one of the most valuable ways of using it. But I think we shouldn't forget that we can use it to make the content more interactive experience. So like what I'm talking about, if today we've showed Live Studio. We could have launched a call to action saying, here's a link to the Live Studio product page on the website. Click here and save it in your tab for later. Like you can, if you think it through, you have your script and the idea of what you're presenting in the webinar, feeding that and kind of, lifting that up, elevating it with with call to actions that are not only like capturing your audience, but actually giving the audience more value. I think that's a really good way of doing it.
And I can second that. I think it's also about the context of the session and the low versus high intent. So, do we feel like the folks attending today are they in the market for shopping a new enterprise software for webinar? Maybe, maybe not. But if it's a low intent, we might want, like you said, educate them further.
Yeah.
And this is for like private sector enterprise. But then when we look at public sector, it's more of an informative objective, right? Have we gotten the message across?
Yeah.
Have we shared that PDF or that sign up to the next information from it could be a municipality council for a political meeting or what have you. So I think it all depends on the context.
And I think it's always like when you're educating the audience in a webinar, let's say for public sector use case, this is how you apply for a building permit. Instead of just doing a live session on this like this and then hoping that the viewer will go in and be really good at navigating your website and finding the information piece in the exactly right place. And you know how tricky it is to find information sometimes. Why not guide the viewer, enable it, shortcut it for them, give them a better experience, and you will reach your goals faster at the same time. So I think it's ideal for that.
Yeah. I think we have room for at least 2 more questions. Marcus was next. What metrics would you suggest to use to measure the success of webinars? For a smaller company with limited resources, would you recommend at what point does the ROI from webinars become significant enough to justify running them? Interesting question.
Yes. So there were several questions in one, but I think if you're a small company and you don't have endless of resources to do all the analytics of every different little detail, I would definitely look at signups and how many the attendance rate, because that's kind of the first conversion. How many signed up to how many actually attended and watched the thing. And then I would encourage you to run some call to actions or polls. You can also run a poll saying, are you interested in getting more information? And one of the answer options is, yes, I would love to have a personal discussion. That or a call to action just to see how many signups, how many viewed from those signups, what's your attendance rate, and what's your conversion rate. How many showed an active hand raiser during your webinar. I think those 3 are key. And then how can you show significant value so that it's ROI enough to run webinars? Yeah, that's one part is, of course, depends on what business you are in. But let's say you are in a business where you sell a product that costs 50,000 SEK, whatever it is, a hardware or a software product. And then you need to do X amount of sales to cover the costs of your time running the webinars and your webinar solution. That's a very clear way of seeing return on investment directly. So let's say you run 1 webinar a month, you have 50 signups and 25 that shows up. So you have 250 people that use it every year. And let's say you have a 5% conversion rate. So what's that? You will have 12 hand raisers. And let's say that half of them go into a sales process. That's 6 sales processes. And you win half of them. So you win 3. Okay, so you've sold for 150,000 based on this in this year. What is your cost of running them? Put them against each other. Yep. That's your direct return. Then your indirect return is, of course, that you've educated 250 viewers that are potential buyers in the long term. And you have got signups from 500 people that now are in your marketing and email lists, etc. This
is not taking into account all the on-demand viewers and that
you're
embedding it on your websites, sharing it on social media.
No, exactly. So I think, and then you will publish it on demand, you'll repurpose it. If it was a good session, you will transcribe it and then turn it into a blog post that will help Google and the AI agents out there to find information. So, but I think that's like one way of looking at direct return and kind of indirect return. We see this also as brand building, and hopefully you find this as like a bit of knowledge sharing and think, oh, maybe the guys at Quickchannel, they've got some decent experience and a decent product. I'll have a listen to them, and that's got value for us as well because we want to be a trusted player in the community.
I think we have one last question, then I think we need to wrap up. From Preben, would it be possible to have call to action videos or some sort of commercial text for other events pop up during the live stream? And could you have those commercials automatically change after, say, 30 days?
Good question. Today we don't have like animated call to actions. It's a good idea though. I will put it through our internal product like suggestion process that we have. We are working on call to action for on demand, to be super transparent. Like call to action for on demand is something that we've developed very recently. It's coming in the near term. And if you have our editor, you'll be able to edit the call to actions, design them and so on. They're still not animated, but you will be able to like do more so they are even more on brand or in the size of place that you want them. So that's something that's coming. Having call to actions that automatically change over time is not something I've seen on the roadmap, but that you can go in and change the call to actions on an on-demand video that has call to actions after 30 days, that's possible. So I think like part of what you're asking is possible or will be possible in the very near term in our platform. But the animated or video over video call to actions is not something I've heard about, but I'll bring it back to the product team and see what they say.
Now it's 1:36, so we are over with 6 minutes. I think we're going to wrap up here. And thank you so much for watching and attending live, or if you're watching this on demand, also thank you for watching. And if there's one thing that the audience should take away with them as a learning, what would that be, Viktor?
Is that do not only do a passive one-way communication. Do invite your viewers to participate. And yes, I forgot to mention something today. So one thing that we haven't shown you, but that is also possible today, is that I can actually invite one of you guys up on stage. I can click on one of your chat messages and say invite on stage, and you can accept. You'll be a guest presenter. You'll be a source here live on the webinar.
So you'll be able to ask your question live.
Yeah,
verbally.
So it's a full two-way interaction. It's a good cliffhanger.
Cliffhanger to next session.
To the next session.
Yeah.
We will run these sessions now every 2 weeks, right?
Every 2 weeks, starting today for bi-weekly throughout the rest of the fall. So for everybody that signs up, I will also communicate when the next session will occur and what that specific topic will be.
And do you have requests on topic? And do you have any feedback to us? What we did well, what we can improve to next one? Please reach out to us. We're doing this to build a good momentum together with you guys.
Yeah. Awesome.
Thank you so
much and have a good week.
Take care.
Take care.
Bye-bye.